Welcome back, everyone. Hope you are having a good week so far. Today, we're going to be continuing our coverage of the civil rights movement. And we're going to be looking at two very, very influential figures within this movement. So, um, getting to our aim for the day, okay? We're going to be identifying similarities and differences between Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X through analyzing their goals and actions. Okay, so the two figures we're going to be looking at today, MLK, Malcolm X. We're going to be looking at some quotations of theirs. We're going to be kind of reading some primary sources of some speeches and writings that they created. And we're going to try to figure out what are their goals and then what are the actions they are calling on people to take part in to achieve those goals. And we're trying to see what's similar, what's different about these two very influential figures during the civil rights movement. For the do now, okay, once again, it's your choice. So you get to make a decision. This is reflecting on material we covered earlier in the week. Okay, so you're going to choose one of the prompts. Okay, you have prompt 1, prompt 2. You're going to choose one of them, respond to the question with a detailed explanation that clearly kind of identifies what either the Montgomery bus boycott was or the lunch counter sit-ins. All right, you can pause the video at this point, complete your do now, come back, and we'll hit the fast facts together. All right, so our fast facts for today. Okay, we're flashing back to Brown versus Board of Education. Remember, it's eliminating segregation in schools. So it's a major kind of victory for proponents of desegregation, of equality in schools. The NAACP is the group that really pushes this court case through the different levels of the judicial system. Eventually, the Supreme Court rejects that idea of separate but equal that Plessy versus Ferguson created. Okay. The one major problem we see, though, is that segregation and inequality continue through America. Brown versus Board is dealing with schools. We saw in those document questions, Little Rock, for example, in Arkansas, refuses to desegregate their schools. Eventually, Eisenhower sends the National Guard to force integration. So a lot of southern cities, a lot of southern states don't jump at the opportunity to desegregate their schools. Okay, so even as you move through the 50s into the 60s, there's still a lot of segregation going on in the United States. All right, two of those actions we see that are taken to try to shed light on the segregation that's still going on is the Montgomery bus boycott, 1955. You see large numbers of citizens in Montgomery boycotting the bus, refusing to use the bus because the bus segregates people in terms of their usage. All right. Rosa Parks is a major figure during this movement. Eventually, the bus system in Montgomery gets rid of those policies that they once had that were unfair to African Americans. Okay, so that movement's a success. All right, once again, lunch counter sit-ins, trying to draw attention that a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses refuse to serve African Americans. Okay, and it's trying to highlight those inequalities in America, and it's using these non-violent protests. We see also that there's progress in creating a society based on equality, but there are still many racist and unfair policies during the early 1960s. Okay, so we're going to look first at probably the most well-known individual from the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King Jr. And for our purposes today, we really want to hone in on the fact that he's advocating for this non-violent form of protest. We also see this idea of civil disobedience being encouraged by MLK to bring about change. And nonviolent protest, once again, the title kind of tells us a lot, Civil disobedience, I just want to make sure we're clear, it is the idea that individuals might need to break laws that they feel are unfair or unequal to better the society. So, for example, civil disobedience is taking part in those lunch counter sit-ins where African Americans are sitting down at restaurants, sitting down at businesses that refuse to serve them. They're arrested for their actions, but it highlights the inequality in society. Okay, we see a pretty different perspective, though, out of our second figure, Malcolm X. All right, and he encourages African Americans to use any means necessary to bring about change. All right, we see that Malcolm X encourages a more militant approach. All right, you also see towards kind of the end of Malcolm X's time in the civil rights movement that he also comes up with some anti-white ideologies. Okay, Martin Luther King Jr. advocates more for a society that brings the races together. Malcolm X is very, very adamant that African Americans should be assured rights by any means necessary. Coexistence might not be a priority for Malcolm X in terms of gaining those rights. Okay, so what you guys are going to do today as I swing over to the document, okay? The first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at some quotes, okay? There's 2 quotes by Malcolm X, 2 quotes by Martin Luther King Jr., all right? And you're working through this section using those 4 provided quotes, okay? After you're done with that section, you will be moving on to a source analysis activity. Let me open up the reading itself. So something that's a little different today, you'll see that there's document A, there's document B. They are not included within this document, okay? You're going to have this separate document titled Readings, and you will see that document A is provided to you here, written by Martin Luther King Jr., and then document B is below, which is spoken by Malcolm X. So you're going to be using these source materials to assist you in completing these scaffolding questions. Remember, strategies for answering these questions: read the questions first, you can turn it into a sentence starter, then go to the text and pull out that relevant information that assists you in responding to the question. Remember, 1 or 2 word answers is not adequate. All right, explain your ideas, be detailed, don't just do the bare minimum. Okay, we're getting into marking period 3. Let's continue the success a lot of you guys had in marking period 2 as we move towards the end of the school year. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, you can reach out to me in the private comments on Google Classroom. I'll respond through that, or you can shoot me an email. Hope everyone's doing well. Talk to you guys soon.